Hi Sandhill friends, I really miss you guys. I hope you're doing okay at home. I just wanted to read you a story called Sunny Boy. It's a story I used to read to my kids. It's about a tortoise, and tortoises usually like to have quiet lives, but this tortoise finds out that sometimes the quiet life is too quiet. I have always longed for the quiet life. Even as a hatchling fresh from my egg, I never once frolicked or played. No, I preferred slow-paced days and basking on sun-warmed rocks. But one fateful morning, I was plucked from my rock like a grape from its vine. Boxed, shipped, bound for the soup pots of New York City's finest restaurants. But fate twists. Instead of landing in hot water, I landed in Polonius Pimplewhite's lap. "What a fine-looking tortoise," said Polonius, and he took me home along with his leftover pork chops. Polonius, I soon learned, was a horticulturist, a grower of flowers. In his garden, he misted his lilies and sang to his orchids, while I basked in the blossom's sweet sunlight. One morning, as I rested in my usual bright spot, Polonius said, "You, my friend, are a very sunny boy." I opened my eyes. "Sunny boy," he repeated. "It has a ring, doesn't it?" It certainly did. So Sunny Boy I was named, and Sunny Boy I remained, year after quiet year. But alas, men do not live as long as tortoises. And one sad day, I went to live with his nephew, Cornelius. Dear, dear Cornelius, I can still picture him, his magnifying glass pressed to his eye, his stamp tongs gripping his latest prize. Ah, he would gush, "Such color, such design, such postal marks." And while I basked in a sunny spot atop a pile of stamp collecting albums, we licked and stuck, year after quiet year. But whoa, I outlived Cornelius too, and so I went to live with his nephew, Augustus. What can I say about Augustus? He was brilliant, a genius, a Latin scholar. Veni, vidi, vici, he would intone while I basked in a sunny spot beside a bust of Caesar, e pluribus unum, year after quiet year. But woe and alas, I outlived Augustus too, and so I went to live with his nephew, Biff. Wahoo! I'm Biff the Brave, daredevil extraordinaire. Daredevil? My world tipped. Now instead of basking in the bright sunlight, I bounced and jostled about in Biff's dank sidecar. Instead of inhaling the sweet smell of orchids, I choked on the fumes from his motorcycle as we roared from one daredevil performance to the next. And instead of the soothing sounds of stamp collecting and Latin verbs, my ears were filled with the boos of Biff's audiences. Why boos, you ask? Well, in Buffalo, Biff the Brave shot himself from a gigantic cannon. He fizzled. In Hoboken, he walked on the wings of a high-flying biplane. He flopped. And in Toledo, he revved, roared, raced into a blazing ring of fire. It took firemen 3 hours to put out the flames. Poor Biff. Had I not been so utterly miserable, I might have felt sorry for him. Instead, I hoped he would learn from his failures and give up his daredevil dreams. Sadly, the more Biff failed, the more determined he grew. "All I need," he declared, "is one daring, dangerous, death-defying stunt. A stunt like Niagara Falls," he whooped. "I will go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. It will be the stunt of the century." I shuddered in my shell, but Biff packed up his gear. Off we roared to Niagara Falls. What a sight! Above the furious falls raged a white-capped river. Below boiled an angry stew of pounding water and jagged rock. And in between, a 167-foot drop. I felt faint. Biff, I wanted to shout, "Don't do it, don't do it!" But his mind, I knew, was made up. Unable to gaze upon these dangerous falls any longer, I crawled away and into Knott's Niagara Museum. Instantly, the scent of orchids tickled my nose. I followed the scent over, behind, and into the library. A little girl was there. A little girl with an orchid in her hair and a stamp collecting book on her lap. Remarkably, the book was written in Latin. "Hello," she said. "My name is Euphemia Knott. My father is curator here. Would you like to hear something interesting?" And she read, "Veni vidi vici, e pluribus unum." My heart swelled. Then, "There you are," hollered Biff. "Come on, sonny boy. We don't have time to poke around this joint. Tomorrow's the big day, and I still have a barrel to build." He grabbed me. "Adieu, dear Tortoise," Euphemia called. She blew me a kiss. "Farewell, sweet sonny boy." I blinked back a tear. "Farewell, Euphemia. May we meet again." All that afternoon and late into the night, Biff worked on his barrel. He lined the inside with cushions for a softer ride. He screwed a weight into the bottom so it would float upright, and he drilled 3 tiny air holes onto the lid, "so I can breathe," he explained. While he worked, I worried about Biff, dreamed of Euphemia, longed for a quiet life. In that black moment, I even considered running away. But tortoises do not run, and so I stayed, fretting and fussing the dark hours away. At first light, Biff rolled out the barrel. 2 rivermen awaited us. The first man grabbed the barrel, and the second grabbed me. "Listen, mister," said the first man. "This isn't the brightest idea. Those falls are dangerous." "Yeah," added the second man. "Dangerous and deadly." "Please, Biff," I begged with my eyes. "Listen to them." Biff did not. Climbing into the barrel, he shouted, "On to the falls! To fame! To fortune!" The first man had already put the lid on the barrel when the second man stopped him. "Hey, you forgot your tortoise," he called. "Tortoise?" Quicker than Biff could shout, "Not Sonny Boy!" The barrel and our fates were sealed. All I could do was burrow deep into my shell and brace myself. We rolled top over bottom, bottom over top, sideways, long ways, every which way. Slam! Bang! Bounce! Boom! Then how to explain it? A sudden, unexpected sensation surged through me. For the first time in my long and quiet life, I felt exhilarated, elated, alive. Wahoo! Then everything went black. I awoke to the sound of Euphemia's voice. "Sonny boy," she exclaimed, "you're alive!" Alive? I shook my bruised and throbbing head. Barely. Later that afternoon, Biff made an announcement. "What I did today was stupid and dangerous," he said, "but I've learned my lesson. Never again will I risk life, limb, and friend for some dumb stunt. As of this moment, I'm giving up the daredevil life to become," my hope soared, "a horticulturist, a stamp collector, a Latin scholar, an explorer," declared Biff. "I will climb Mount Everest, row down the Congo River, trek across the South Pole." The South Pole? I shivered. "There's just one problem," added Biff. "As much as I enjoy your company, the South Pole's no place for a tortoise. So maybe," he smiled at Euphemia, "maybe while I'm away, you could live with her?" Euphemia? Oh, joy! Now I have orchids again, I have stamps, I have Latin. Indeed, it is a quiet life. And yet, dare I admit it, sometimes the quiet life is a bit too quiet. That's when I look forward to Biff's visits. I look forward to those smelly fumes in that bouncy sidecar. Indeed, I look forward to going, for just a short time, fast. Wahoo! Since 1901, more than 15 people have plunged over Niagara Falls in barrels or other odd contraptions. 15 people and one tortoise. This story is, of course, fiction, but it was inspired by a real-life tortoise named Sonny Boy. The real Sonny Boy was 100 years old when he made the perilous trip. Sonny Boy lived for another 40 years at the Niagara Falls Museum. Allowed free rein, the tortoise crept through the marble hallways, basking in sunny spots and chewing the lower leaves off the museum's rubber plant. He became a favorite of staff and visitors alike, but in all that time, Sonny Boy never revealed the secrets of his fateful trip.